Hello everyone, Mr. Lipchick here, and our topic for this segment of instruction is supply, demand, and equilibrium. So what is equilibrium? Equilibrium is the point at which the quantity demanded and the quantity supplied are equal. Prices adjust in the market until this occurs. The market will move towards equilibrium, generally speaking. At the equilibrium price for a good on the market, buyers will purchase exactly the quantity of goods that businesses are willing to sell. Consumers do not experience shortages of the good, and sellers do not experience surpluses at this particular price. The graph on the right shows the equilibrium price for a slice of pizza. At $1.50, the quantity of pizza demanded is exactly equal to the amount that suppliers are willing to provide, which is 200 slices per day. At the equilibrium point, the market is said to be stable because there is no unmet demand or excess supply. Disequilibrium. Disequilibrium is when the price or quantity of goods is not at equilibrium. There can be excess demand. When there is excess demand, the quantity demanded is greater than the quantity supplied. At the price of $1, as seen on the graph on the right, 100 fewer slices of pizza are supplied by producers than are demanded by consumers. Suppliers, however, will eventually notice this unmet demand and raise their price until it reaches the equilibrium price. Excess supply. And the quantity supplied is more than the quantity demanded. At $2 per slice, the pizza producers are left with a surplus of 100 unsold pizza slices per day. Because the price is high, pizza makers will tend to make more than the market demands at that price, seeking higher profits. Pizza makers will then see that they are wasting supplies on unsold pizzas and will lower the price to the equilibrium price and reduce the number of slices that they produce per day. And as the price goes down, the demand for pizza will increase, consuming some of the excess that was unsold at the higher price. Government intervention. In efforts to promote fairness or prevent shortages, the government often imposes price ceilings or price floors. A price ceiling is a maximum price that can be legally charged for a good or a service. These are usually placed on goods that are considered essential to living, such as housing in some areas. A price floor is a minimum price for a good or a service. And the minimum wage is an example of a price floor that has been placed on the minimum hourly amount that a person can be paid for his or her labor. Price ceilings are often criticized for placing artificial limits on the quantity of a good supply. Rent controls are probably the most used examples. Rent controls in New York City are examples of government efforts to prevent the charging of excessive rents. Certain rental properties in New York City fall under municipal rent controls. That is, they'll never go above a certain amount. These controls result in a housing shortage, however, as demand for the rent-controlled units far exceeds their availability. And as the graph on the right illustrates, with rent controls, suppliers lose incentive to move the quantity of supplied units to the equilibrium level or price, creating a shortage. So, there are people willing to pay above the price ceiling. And if they were permitted to do so, then the equilibrium would be reached and supply would equal demand. Minimum wage, the lowest wage which employers are permitted to pay, may negatively affect the supply of jobs. This is a form of price floor. Minimum wage was created out of our sense of equity or fairness to our fellow citizens. Employers will hire fewer employees, however, as demand for employees is not allowed to reach its equilibrium level. In the example on the right, the demand for 2 million workers will go unmet, okay, because of the price floor. Basically what it's saying is there are people who are willing to work for less than minimum wage. And if they were permitted to, there would be more available work. Changes in market equilibrium. It is important to understand the difference between a change in the quantity demanded or supplied and a shift in demand or supply. When the quantity demanded or supplied changes, it is doing so in response to a change in price, with all other factors being held constant at one instant in time. When there is a shift in the quantity demanded or supplied at all price levels, it has been caused by a non-price factor within the market. So when the supplier demand curve shifts, it's a result of a non-price factor. A surplus is a situation in which the quantity supplied is greater than the quantity demanded. In this example, to the right, the supply curve shifts to the right, indicating a surplus. If the price is $600 per item, the price of $600 per item can no longer be supported by the market. That is, there is less demand at this particular level. The price therefore drops to $400 per item, and this becomes its new equilibrium price. So as the supply levels increase, the market can no longer sustain the original price, creating a new equilibrium price. So the price drops. A shortage is a situation in which the quantity demanded is greater than the quantity supplied. The demand curve will shift to the right, and consumers will experience search costs. That is time and energy and money spent looking for goods. Search cost is the financial and opportunity cost paid by consumers when searching for a good or a service. In the example to the right, suppliers will eventually increase their prices, reducing the initial demand of 500,000 items to 400,000 items at the new equilibrium price. And as you will recall, it's not simply wanting the item, you have to have the ability to pay. So when the price goes up, fewer people will be able to pay for the item, and the result is an equilibrium level. It is important to remember when studying these examples that in order to have demand for an item, a consumer must want it and also have the ability to purchase it. Remember that market equilibrium is considered a moving target, and that it is constantly changing in response to thousands of different factors. Suppliers are not going to supply above the equilibrium price because there will be unsold items above this price and unrealized profits below it. That concludes our discussion on supply, demand, and equilibrium. Thank you for your attendance, and I look forward to seeing you in the live lesson. Have a great day.